Cleveland Grand Prix, Paul Gentilozzi was scheduled to make his 200th Trans Am career start. The weekend didn't turn out as he wanted. After a practice wreck, he crashed during the race, forcing Gentilozzi out of the action. He now comes to Toronto, still looking for his first win of 2005. Randy Ruhlman thought his weekend was going to be spoiled by this huge practice crash Friday. His cruise all night fixing the Jim Corvette. Ruhlman started at the back. He moved up, taking the lead here, 27. Randy Ruhlman, the veteran from North Carolina, never looked back on his way to his second victory of 2005. Now the Trans Am stars are north of the border in Toronto for the fourth race of the Trans Am Road Racing Series Championship season. Welcome to the streets of Toronto, the CN Tower, part of the beautiful skyline on a wonderful afternoon for Trans Am Series racing. It's the Trans Am at Toronto at Exhibition Place, fourth race of the season here in 2005. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin, joined as always by Derek Daly. Great to have you with us for the fourth race of the season. Derek, a surprise in Trans Am. The Rocket Sports team is not up front in the points chase. Randy Ruhlman is. It's been a reliability question, really, for those Jaguars.
And that will be the question this afternoon here on the streets of Toronto, because not only do you have to have mechanical reliability, we saw Gentilozzi crash with mechanical problems twice in Cleveland, you also have to be mistake-free on a street circuit when you run between the concrete walls. That is two potential problems for anybody that wants to try and win this afternoon.
Well, at the top of the standings, a name that has never been there before. He won the street race at Long Beach to start the season. He's got 2 wins already. Randy Ruhlman is the championship leader. He is standing by downstairs with Ralph Sheheen.
What a wild up and down season it has been for Randy Ruhlman. He's had troubles with his race cars, but he's seen some firsts. A first victory, quickly followed up by a second one. And now, Randy, the first time in your career, you are the Trans Am points leader. How does that feel?
It's really a great feeling, Ralph. The team's been so strong all year, and to be able to reward them with a points lead, and for both myself and them, it's special, and we're just going to try to hang on to it up here in Toronto.
Jan, he's going after a first Trans Am title.
Yes, and the man who will roll off first today is actually the man who qualified 5th, but of course they invert the start here in Trans Am. And gee, I wonder if there's any monkey business going on here. Was it a little sandbagging to make sure you start this race at the front?
I don't think I've ever worked so hard to be slow as I did yesterday, Jan. Big advantage. I want to lead. I want to win the race really badly. The strategy for me is not about points, it's about winning. So why not go for it?
He's going to be going for it. In practice, they did have some oil leak issues. They hope they have those resolved. Rick?
Well, Butch Miller with a couple of 100 wins on his resume. He will join us here today. Paul Gentilozzi on the pole in his Rocket Sports Jaguar. Randy Ruhlman has the Performed Line Products car alongside. Second row, Tommy Dreese, Supercross the movie on the 5 car today. The Cytomax 6 of Greg Pickett. Third row, rookie Klaus Graf, who won at Portland. That's the other Rocket Sports Jaguar, the 7. Row 4, John Baucom's Mustang. Hema Maher in his Corvette. That's from the Durhog Stables. Paul Fix and Charlie Webster from Canada in row 5 here today. Row 6, Tim Cowan's Mustang, Butch Miller in that GTA car, Tor Kruger in a GT1 entry, Gord Vipont, Monica Colvin from British Columbia, Canada, Blaze Sita, shotgun on the field. He'll start 16th in the 07. Off the final turn, coming to the start here in Toronto, Derek Daly, Gentilozzi and Ruhlman are side by side coming to the green.
But you got to be so careful here because this funnels down to the apex. Watch the potential action here. Gentilozzi right side of your screen.
That's Klaus Graf. Dreese moving to second. Third spot belongs to Ruhlman. Baucom is fourth. Joey Scarallo and Greg Pickett.
Safe so far. This is a 175-mile-an-hour run down this long back straight to something that's almost like a hairpin.
A very, very tight turn 4, right-handed. Ruhlman back to 5th in front of Scarallo. The goal here to get through the first several turns safely.
Paul Gentilozzi in control. There's Greg Pickett in the Cytomax Jaguar. Missed the last round at Cleveland. You see the concrete walls, Rick. That's the discipline for a driver, to run fast, but not to bounce the car off of any of those concrete walls.
1 year ago here in Toronto, it was a race of attrition. Only a handful of cars making it to the checkered flag unscathed. It was hotter here a year ago, but Derek, this is a pretty slick racetrack. Can these guys get hold of this thing and stay safe all day?
They're just about 15 minutes after qualifying for Champ Cars. So the track is reasonably clean. Gentilozzi, you see him here. Look at the Jaguar. Jaguar, Jaguar, Jaguar. 1, 2, 3. But Ruhlman, I thought Rick, it was interesting that Ruhlman said he wants to protect the championship lead here in Toronto. That is a man thinking long-term as opposed to short-term of the victory potential for today.
Randy Ruhlman settling in 5th. He started up front in that 49 Jim Durhock's preformed line products machine. The 3 Rocket Sports Jags, 1, 2, and 3. Here's Joey Scarallo, who led laps at Cleveland. He is running 6th in front of Pickett. Paul Fix, Hema Mar, Tim Cowan, the top 10. Blaze Cena, Gord Vipond, Butch Miller back in 14th in his number 52, his Dytex Chevrolet. That is an American Speed Association car. In fact, Butch told me they ran that car at Atlanta last fall, covered it up, uncovered it, changed the motor, brought it here. He'll run several Trans Ams the rest of the season.
Third Jag in line, the other green and black one right there. That is Klaus Graf, product of the European Road Racing Series, the Porsche Super Cup. Has been a winner already. He's been on the pole. He was 7/10 of a second faster than everybody. He is learning all of these new racetracks, so let him settle in for 5 or 10 laps here, and then expect Klaus Graf in that number 7 Rocket Sports car, Rick, to come on strong.
A couple of moments ago, Derek, we talked about the reliability of the Rocket Sports Jaguars. They were very strong. Gentilozzi won the championship a year ago by a hair over Tommy Kendall, who drove car number 7 as we ride. Dreese, here comes Graf for 2nd.
Man, we didn't even wait the 5 or 10 laps. It's in the brake zone, 175 miles an hour. You saw him come down the inside of Tommy Dreese. We were live on board with Dreese, and that's how quickly it happens. Now, both Rocket Sports cars, and Gentilozzi thinks there are no team orders here. So he is going to have his hands full with Klaus Graf.
Well, Jan Bikas, you talked to Gentilozzi before the drop of the green about how important a win is for him. It would break that record held by the great Mark Donohue.
It would break the record, and this is not what he wants to see in the mirrors. He knows that you have to use tire management here. You have to be very gentle on the power coming off of the corners. He doesn't want to have to push too hard. He knows if he has to stay ahead of Graf, he will have to step on the pedal. He knows his teammate is ultra fast. So there's no team orders like Derek said, but he knows he has to push. He can't give Klaus an opportunity to get to the inside.
Absolutely right, Jan, because if they push these cars very hard, and you mentioned tire management, the Rocket Sports team is already set up to do tire stops if necessary. They'd like to do it on a yellow should there be a yellow flag, but they are set up with guns to do a 4-tire change pit stop if necessary.
Watching action on the backstretch here in Toronto. Greg Pickett in the Cytomax Jaguar with Joey Scarallo right behind him. Scarallo shown 6th last time by, but Pickett has gotten around him for 6th position. Pickett, the great veteran from California, the proprietor of Cytomax, if you will, and he's got quite a record at stake too, Derek. He has won in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s in Trans Am. The win this year puts him in very exclusive company.
And Greg Pickett loves his Trans Am racing. After all these years, he still comes back. He still comes for the physical punishment that it is driving cars as heavy as this, as hot as this inside, particularly on street circuits. As you look now at the first 2 boys of Rocket Sports, now Graf really beginning to put on the pace. You'll notice Graf's car has the red stripe.
Oh, going for the lead in 1. Graf bulls by on the inside.
Oh, Gentilozzi, the boss, is chasing this elusive record. But when you have a teammate like Klaus Graf and there are no supposedly team orders, you have to expect this type of move from a talent such as Graf.
4 laps are complete. Working lap 5, 52 to go here on the streets of Toronto. 4th race of the Trans Am season in 2005. So the 3 Jags are up front. Klaus Graf has just taken the lead from the team owner, Paul Gentilozzi. We'll be back with more Trans Am coverage from Toronto in a moment. With Derek Daly, I'm Rick Benjamin, Jan Bikas, Ralph Shaheen on pit road. Your top 5 early in the going, 6 laps on the board. Klaus Graf, Paul Gentilozzi, Tommy Dreese, your top 3. Points leader Randy Ruhlman slots into 4th. John Bauckham rides 5th out of North Carolina. And Derek, we were talking during the break that you're of the opinion perhaps that Gentilozzi is on that tire management strategy already. He's not worried that Graf got by him, perhaps.
Perhaps. This track here, as any street circuit, does tend to punish the tires. Look at the streaks of tire left around that right-hander right there. When you have cars as heavy as this, with in excess of 650 horsepower, you do call upon the driver to be mechanically sympathetic, because it's not just the fastest lap that's going to win this, it's the guy who gets to the finish line in the shortest amount of time, i.e. get to the finish line. So these cars, you do have to manage the tire wear, and Gentilozzi has won races in the past managing tire wear. As you see, 3 Jags here heading the field from Randy Ruhlman in the Corvette. Incidentally, a Corvette has never won a Trans Am race here.
Absolutely. This is only the 4th time that Trans Am has been here on the streets of Toronto. Jan Beekes?
When you're talking about the tire strategy, that definitely is in play, Derek, for Paul Gentilozzi, but there's one other thing in play that we didn't think of. I spoke with Quinn Conda, who was on the radio to Paul, and they said, we let Klaus Graf pass us on purpose. And that is because Klaus needs the points for the points championship. We only want to win the race. So look for possibly a repay for that favor the last 10 laps of the race.
Well, and the story, of course, is if you've been following Trans Am, Gentilozzi and the late Mark Donohue are tied for the most victories in a Trans Am career with 29. Paul's been trying since the start of this season to win his 30th, break that record, and set it with honor, I think you'd say. He's just made his 200th career Trans Am start, by far the leader in that category. Mark Donohue's record of 29 wins certainly does stand to fall at some point this season, because Gentilozzi's won a ton of races, including last year's championship. A couple of victories on his way to that title. Graf is the driver that they've selected, Derek, to try to really be their championship standard bearer this season.
And Graf is what you would call a sedan driver. He is a tin-top driver. He is a specialty in these type of full-bodied cars, has always been successful in these. So for him to come in, I mean, it's going to take him a season to learn all these new racetracks, but second time out in Portland, as we saw earlier in the season, he managed to win. And I mean, if you look at the pole position here, when he was 7 to 8 tenths quicker than everybody else, he is a fast learner here. But I'll be curious whether he is prepared to give up a race win to help the team boss right there, Paul Gentilozzi, garner that record or put that record in the history books. Because Paul potentially, I mean, he's close to retiring or almost retiring from Trans Am, but that record is the lure. He wants to stay to try and capture that record.
Well, the plan has been for Paul to set the record and then step aside and run selected races in his Jaguar in the #1, and allow some sons of past Trans Am superstars, P.J. Jones is one name that comes to mind, the son of Parnelli, to come and drive the car on a series of one-offs the balance of this season, and add to fan enjoyment of the Trans Am Championship. Once Paul has that record, not many people think it would be one that would be broken in Trans Am history.
Right, probably never will be. This street circuit here in Toronto, probably in the top 2 or 3 best street racing circuits in the world. I mean, you can look at Long Beach. I think this is better than Long Beach. You can look at a place like Surfers Paradise. The location of Surfers Paradise might be a little bit better, but this track here, because it has these long straights right here, 175 miles an hour, into tight corners like this, in this blind, fast corners, it really is a thrill for the drivers to drive through some of these blind corners because of the sheer speed that you can actually attain on a street circuit.
As we watch car #1, Paul Gentilozzi, the defending series champion, chasing Klaus Graf, who is the race leader. The 3 Rocket Sports Jags, 1, 2, 3. And Derek, at the top of the broadcast, we commented it has been a reliability question for the Jags so far this season. Only 1 win in the first 3 races. Maybe this is the day that they solve some of those problems. We'll find out when we continue from the streets of Toronto. Welcome back to Exhibition Place, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 4th race of the season for the Trans Am Tour here in Toronto. With Derek Daly, I'm Rick Benjamin. Ralph Shaheen, Jan Beekes on Pit Road. Monday through Thursday on Speed, an all-new NASCAR Nation with Leanne Tweeden. Off track and in-depth, life in the fast lane to living in the limelight. Leanne brings you a never-before-seen side of America's #1 motorsport. An all-new NASCAR Nation, Monday through Thursday, 7 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. Riding here with Tommy Dreese, Supercross the movie on the 5 car this weekend. Dreese rides 3rd. It's been a nice, clean run so far. The 3 Rocket Sports Jaguars, Derek Daly, they've headed the field since the drop of the green.
They really have headed the field, and now they're beginning to lap some of the slower cars, so you got to be very careful doing that. You cannot trust drivers that you don't know. Not that you can't trust them, you can't take a chance. There's no point taking a chance to try and poke your nose in and put yourself in a difficult situation. See the hand out the window there? Knew exactly what was going on. Woo!
Gord Vipond has turned his car around. That is car number 61, the all-Canadian Chevrolet. And word is from race control, he may be putting some moisture down on the surface. So we'll check that out further. We stay green for now. That will move Butch Miller up to 11th spot.
That was a turn 8. Greg Pickett, lap earlier, just did a 13.9, which I believe is the second fastest lap of the race. Greg Pickett right there, top of your picture in the Cytomax car. That is the second fastest race lap to Klaus Graf, our leader. So it gives you an indication of how important track position is. If you get buried in the field, no matter what speed you have, sometimes it's difficult to make it to the front. As you see the long, lazy spin here. Vipond didn't hit anything. That is the Camaro. Gets time to drive it out of the way before somebody clouts him. That's something unusual in street circuits sometimes.
Well, Klaus Graf at the moment is laying a clouting on the field here. 19 laps on the board. Graf the leader by 4 seconds over team owner and defending series champ Paul Gentilozzi, who's going for his record 30th career Trans Am win here in Toronto this weekend. Gentilozzi qualified 5th. The 5-car inversion put him on the pole for the drop of the green. He led the first several laps, allowed Graf perhaps to dive inside going into turn 1. Graf took over and has been out in front ever since. Tommy Dreese, though, getting a lot of heat. Randy Ruhlman, the points leader, right behind him. Good race for 3rd spot as they roll through turn 1, Derek Daly. Ruhlman starting to turn it up a little bit now.
And Randy Ruhlman is quite happy to let those 20 laps peel off, because this Corvette is now 50 pounds heavier than it has run all season, because he's won 2 races. They add 25 pounds of weight. It's almost like a formula to equalize the competition here. So Ruhlman, he is actually 150 pounds heavier than the Jags, because they have a different engine, lighter, smaller engine, less horsepower. So Ruhlman needs to let some of these laps go by before he begins to torture his tires and brakes on this heavier Corvette. And you can see him beginning to now poke his nose down under Tommy Dreese. Tommy Dreese's car 150 pounds lighter, so Ruhlman knows that because he discussed it this morning with me. So once you take care of your car, but after you lose half the fuel tank, Rick, you know you can feel the weight lighter. Now you can begin to punish the brakes and tires a little bit more, but you better time it right, or you wear the brakes out and the tires also.
Well, if you're new to Trans Am Racing, the series celebrating its 40th year of competition across North America. The idea here is not to have to make a pit stop. These are 100-mile races. The idea is to run start to finish in a sprint chase. So as Derek says, as you burn off fuel, of course, the tires are wearing constantly, but as the car gets lighter, they do get faster. It gets a little trickier to drive. Right behind Ruhlman as he sizes up Dreese. John Bauckham there in that green and yellow Mustang out of Matthews, North Carolina. And behind him, 1 spot further back in 6th, the great veteran Greg Pickett out of California in the Cytomax Jaguar. Leader is still Graf. Gentilozzi is 2nd. Dreese runs 3rd. Ruhlman trying to pick his spot and move by, and now they're starting to back up behind Dreese a little bit.
And you see Bauckham get sideways there as he exited the turn 3 at the end of that long straight. There are 2 classic overtaking places here in Toronto. One is the end of the long straight that you just saw. The second one is where we saw Klaus Graf pass Paul Gentilozzi earlier. So for a Ruhlman who has his eyes on passing Dreese, and a Pickett who has his eye on passing John Bauckham, they know they're the 2 places that if they're going to pounce, they better get the corners before that absolutely correct and get a good launch away from the corners.
Watching Ruhlman coming off the final corner. In 4th position, Jan Beekes. Is he where his team owner would like him to be at this point?
Well, we'll find out from Jim Derhaag, of course. As a former driver, is it a case where you want him to be turned loose now, or are you still being somewhat conservative for Randy?
No, it's not quite halfway yet, Jan, and this place is pretty hard on rear tires, so we'll cut him loose here in just a few laps.
At the moment, you're still asking him to bide his time?
Yeah, at this point, you know, we've got 50 pounds of reward weight from winning 2 races, and nobody else out there's got that right now, so we have to be a little bit careful with the tires. 50 pounds doesn't sound like much, but it's actually, as you know, a lot of weight.
I know Derek has been talking about that weight penalty. Do you think the pace that's being run at the front right now is too fast for the weight they have?
No, I think, you know, Klaus is plenty smart. He's just sitting out there about 2 seconds ahead of Paul riding. So, no, they're not hurting their car. We'll see what happens.
And of course, course, Jim Deerhag and, of course, Randy Ruhlman trying to save theirs for that extra 50 pounds. Derek?
And hoping to get their first Trans Am championship here in 2005. Watching that battle for third, Dreese in the white and green Jaguar. The Supercross car still has the spot. Meantime, we take a look at the top two cars. Klaus Graf is out in front. Paul Gentilozzi runs in second. The gap nearly 5 seconds. Graf is your leader. We'll be back with more. The Trans Am at Toronto on Speed. Watching the race leaders, the 3 Rocket Sports Jaguars, 1, 2, 3. Klaus Graf, the winner at Portland earlier this season, is the leader. Paul Gentilozzi, 3.1 seconds back in second. Tommy Dreese doing a nice job in third. Derek Daly, he's managed to hold off Randy Ruhlman so far. And as we get past halfway now, 28 laps to go, what does Jim Deerhag say, Randy? Go for it.
Exactly. And when does Paul Gentilozzi, currently in second, begin to put the push on Klaus Graf? Remember, Gentilozzi has a different objective here. He just wants to try and win, not worried about the championship. It has settled down somewhat, except Greg Pickett. You see him top of the screen in the Jaguar, the Cytomax car. He is on the move. He has made a move on John Bauckham. But earlier, this is at the end of the back straight. Watch Pickett. Top of your screen, silver car, comes inside Bauckham and goes boom! Gives him a nice love tap. That said, I want to pass you. I'm getting impatient. Now the other end of the racetrack, this is down past the pits. Greg Pickett comes down the inside again. He tried this earlier and he manages to pull it off, puts the car over the concrete at the apex, pulls it off, and now he is about to run down Randy Ruhlman.
Watching that battle, third, fourth, and fifth right there. There's Pickett on the Cytomax Jaguar, the 78 Series champion. It's been at it a long time, one of the great gentlemen in motorsports. And Pickett now on the button, trying to reel in points leader Randy Ruhlman. The Freeform Line Products Chevrolet, that's the 49 car out of the Jim Deerhag stables. There is Pickett as they head toward the final couple of turns here at Toronto. Past halfway, Graf continues to lead. Gentilozzi trying to win that record 30th Trans Am event in second. Dreese with 1 career win is third. And you've got Ruhlman, Pickett, and Bauckham. Joey Scarallo, Paul Fix, Kima Maher 9th, Tim Cowan 10th, Charlie Webster is 11th, and Butch Miller driving his former ASA Chevrolet Monte Carlo, the Ditec 52. He is slotted in 12th. Here's Ruhlman trying to take third away, and here comes Miller down the backstretch in that GMAC Ditec car. He'll move over, let the leaders go by. Butch here to have fun and learn about Trans Am racing. Ralph Shaheen, he got that win at Brainerd quite a number of years ago in an ASA event.
That he did, Rick, and you know, it took the crew a good 4 shifts of 20-plus hours each day to get this car prepared to come up here and go racing. And that's a lot of work for somebody just to come up and have some fun, but that's really why Butch is here. He made his name in oval track racing and will be inducted in numerous halls of fame when he finally decides to hang up his helmet. But you know how racers are, Derek Daly. Even when they have a day off, sometimes golf just isn't going to do it. They still need to go feed that speed addiction. Did you ever do that?
Oh no, I was always very respectable. The interesting part about it is now he's about to see the pace of the leaders, because they're now beginning to mix it up with him as they put a lap on him. So I think for Butch this will be good information when he sees the speed, the grip, the power, the setup of these faster cars may potentially help him. As you see, move over to the left side of the screen here as Dreese, Ruhlman, and now Greg Pickett all over the back of Ruhlman. This is beginning to pick up heat here. Greg Pickett on the last lap right before this was actually the fastest car on the racetrack at a 14.1, even faster on that lap than Klaus Graf. So Pickett in the Cytomax car beginning to put some pressure on Ruhlman. Whoa, big wide sweep.
Trouble for one of the Jaguars. He is out of the way. That is Klaus Graf, the race leader, moving over on the backstretch. So Graf with mechanical troubles. He's got a tire down on the left rear corner. Graf will have to bring the 7 car around to the attention of the Rocket Sports team. So the race leader in trouble. There goes the tire. Now he's really got problems, Derek.
Oh, and we said it at the top of the show. Mechanical sympathy you have to have. Now, I do not know whether he touched anything, touched a back marker maybe, but there is the carcass of the tire, and he is going to struggle to get this thing back. Whatever it is, he is out of contention for a win, because Gentilozzi, Dreese, Ruhlman, Pickett, Bauckham, the top 5 now have all well gone ahead of him.
Wow, 24 laps to go at Toronto. Race leader Klaus Graf loses a tire on the backstretch at Toronto. He'll head to pit road. That puts Gentilozzi on top. We'll be back.
Back in Toronto, amazing developments. Our points leader, Randy Ruhlman, on pit road, getting a new left front tire after contact on the racetrack, just after we had Klaus Graf come in to replace a left rear tire. The case for Klaus Graf, no contact, just must have picked up a puncture, and it deflated.
And we think there was contact involving the 49 car. Derek, have a look.
Oh, there was definitely contact. Watch this. Look, Ruhlman, right, left side. Oh, bangs along. Tommy Dreese hits him again. That's not over yet. Watch coming. Oh, bang, hits him again. Greg Pickett right behind. Oh, he hits him again. And that eventually, we believe, pulled the valve stem out of the left front wheel on Randy Ruhlman's car, which sent him to the pit lane. So now, Dreese is second, Pickett is third, Bauckham is fourth, and Scarello now is up to fifth place.
Coming up 20 laps to go. Gentilosi's lead 10 seconds as he goes for his 30th career Trans Am win to set an all-time record. He's working lap traffic here on the backstretch, including the points leader. That's the 49 of Ruhlman just on pit road. Gentilosi moves by him. No contest there. Randy Ruhlman back in 7th now. That's Tim Cowan, 75, the Cowan Trucking Ford. He is 8th. Back to Jan Beekes.
Well, Derek, you're talking about what happens to the rim. Here's exactly what you were talking about. You can see that, wow, that is hot, by the way. Broken off valve stem. That is what deflates the tire because of the contact between the two cars. Again, like we were saying, Klaus Graf also had a tire go down, but it was not a result of any kind of contact, just picked up a puncture.
Wow, Rick, I wonder will that have championship repercussions right there?
Well,
That short valve stem.
How about this? Graf is in trouble again with 21 laps to go, a full course yellow. Graf is stopped on the racetrack, Derek, which makes you think that perhaps there was more than just the tire down when he had those problems a few laps ago. He's in a runoff area, a safe Trans Am officials say, let's go yellow. Looks like the motor maybe gave up.
Oh, the smoke. It is oil. It appears coming out the back of the Jaguar. That is the end of that long straight. Boy, we have look at the oil streak right behind it. Top of the show, Rick, we mentioned it. Mechanical unreliability this season for the Rocket Sports Jaguar team, and it appears to continue despite the fact that team leader Paul Gentilosi is still leading and in control of this race.
Well, it was their Achilles heel at times in 2004. Gentilosi was the season champion, though. This season, Rocket Sports with only one victory in 3 races. Gentilosi yet to go to victory lane, and mechanical issues have been their bugaboo so far. But the series champion Gentilosi is the race leader with 20 to go. We're under caution. Trans Am has run here at Exhibition Place in Toronto, the 20th anniversary of the Grand Prix of Toronto. Preparing for a restart after an explosion, the engine of race leader Klaus Graf letting go down the backstretch. A long caution to clean it all up. Gentilosi takes him back into 1. Here's Greg Pickett now taking a look at Tommy Dreese for 2nd spot.
Now we have an interesting situation here because Tommy Dreese's pit were concerned about the tire wear. They wanted him to come in and at least look at the tires, potentially change them under the yellow flag. Tommy Dreese did not want to do it, so he is potentially in a precarious situation. So watch for Greg Pickett in the Cytomax car. There he is, silver and yellow, right there at the apex of the corner ahead of Bauckham.
As always, the caution bunches the field behind Gentilosi. When the yellow came out, Gentilosi gave up like a 9-second lead. His teammate Dreese there kind of covering the back flank for him, if you will, as Pickett tries to move up into 3rd spot. Jan Beekes, laps winding down. What are you hearing on pit road?
Well, one thing in particular is Greg Pickett. We talked about the fact he had missed Cleveland. His last race was Portland, where he had a run-in with Tommy Dreese. He loves to tell stories. He's been very animated. He feels that Tommy Dreese gave him the chrome horn, as they call it, in Portland, and feels he owes him one. So if it really gets tight, look for Greg Pickett to really put the fender in on on Tommy Dreese.
Woo! And of course the chrome horn is the, deference to the chrome bumpers where you push a guy. So if that happened and Greg knows that there may be payback, you never know with 12 laps to go here.
Joey Scarallo, the Toyo Tire 06, that Chevrolet, he's advanced to 5th. Tony Ave in charge of that team these days. Gentilosi continues to lead, 2.5 the margin over Dreese. Pickett, John Bauckham in the Mustang, and Scarallo. After Gentilosi, the next 4 are bunched pretty tightly, and Ralph Shaheen's Joey Scarallo had a great run at Cleveland. He's starting to catch on now here.
And they were really hoping to expand on that performance from Cleveland here this week, Rick, but they've had an engine misfire throughout the course of the race. He's been flipping switches, trying to see if they can figure out where electrically that problem is, but so far they have not been able to diagnose the problem. He's just soldiering on.
I don't know. He must have flicked the right one, because he is right over Bauckham right now, looking as if he is trying to make his way past. So Scarello, I don't see that the misfire is causing him much trouble right now.
Well, Tony Abe, the team manager, now has a race preparation business in Denver, North Carolina, suburbs of Charlotte. He has taken over management of the Scarello team and just about totally rebuilt the race car for Joey, and it is much, much more competitive this season. He's right up behind John Bauckham, who also races out of the Charlotte area in that software toolbox Mustang, the 86, as they fight it out for fourth. Gentilozzi stretches the lead, 2.5 seconds now. Coming up 10 laps to go next time by. And Derek, we talked about it at the top of the broadcast. Everything at stake here for Gentilozzi. A Scarello looks to the inside. A Bauckham going down into the third turn.
Yeah, Scarello definitely wants to try and get by Bauckham, but you better make sure you stick your nose well in and get up the side of a car, because on a street circuit he will turn in, and that's when you get cars beginning to touch each other, and you do not want that with less than 10 laps to go.
There's Dreese and Pickett fighting for second. This is the battle for fourth.
Oh yes, Scarello's all over him. This is a hard break zone here. That's too hard to make a pass here.
Just not a lot of room to work with in these big Trans Am cars between the concrete walls.
No, but the key is, we know where Graf passed Gentilozzi earlier. It's by the front straight on the pits. It's the second corner after this. There's the first one. Here's the second one. Then the run to the first corner. That's where Joey Scarello has to line him up. Here it is here. He's got to line him up here and then break right, left of your screen to go to the apex.
Scarello looks to the inside.
That's it. He's thinking about it. He is thinking about it.
Can't get it done that time around. 10 laps remain here in Toronto. Gentilozzi with a 2.6 second lead over his teammate Dreese right there in the white and green Jaguar. Pickett third in the Cytomax car. That's the silver machine. Pickett wants to take a look inside Dreese.
On board, this is with Tommy. There's the Cytomax car. Oh, that's exactly what we said earlier. You can't half do it. That almost caught Joey Scarello out. He tried to come down the inside, but he didn't get deep enough, and he almost lost his nose when Bauckham cut across to the apex.
Great battling for second spot and for fourth here in Toronto. All of this music to the ears of Paul Gentilozzi if he's listening on the radio, because it allows him to drive away further from the drivers chasing him now.
So you got two fights here. Dreese trying to hold off Greg Pickett. You have Scarello, who I think will make another charge against John Bauckham here with less than 10 laps to go. But you got to make sure you cannot just stick your nose in, because you will get it chopped off. And look at the amount of time, Rick, that he lost. Oh, look at Pickett.
For second spot, Greg Pickett now. Riding with
look
Dreese.
at Pickett.
Pickett to the inside in turn one.
Oh,
side by side through two.
Oh, they never touched.
Jumps him onto the backstretch. Does Pickett. So give Greg Pickett second spot here in Toronto.
What a move by Greg Pickett, and believe it or not, although they ran almost side by side, I don't believe they actually touched paint. Great move by Greg Pickett.
Pickett has been active in 4 decades of Trans Am competition, the 78 Series champion. As he starts to pull away, Dreese evidently was holding him up. Now it's a question, Derek, with 8 to go coming up this time by, what do you have left for tires? Tire management at the end of one of these 100-mile races. Here it is again.
There's Pickett. He goes to the right, then he comes back to the right side. Goes down the inside. They almost touch right there, not quite, and again, not quite. Oh, what a great move by the Cytomax car. Greg Pickett now in second.
Welcome back on Speed, the Trans Am Series at Toronto for the 4th time in the 40-year history of this great series. We're at Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. With Derek Daly, I'm Rick Benjamin, and we may be seeing motorsports history here in just a couple of moments. Paul Gentilozzi is the race leader by more than 5 seconds over Greg Pickett, who's been doing this an awfully long time as well. The history, well, Gentilozzi and the late, great Mark Donohue. Each have won 29 of these Trans Am events over the years. Today, Gentilozzi may break the all-time victory record. He's been trying for a while. This could be his 30th career win. Laps are winding down. This is going to be a timed event now, so we may not get the final 4 laps in. We may only run 2 or 3 more here in Toronto. We will see. Everything has gone Gentilosi's way. Derek Daly, we heard from Jan Vikas at the start of the broadcast. They had oil leak problems with that car. They fixed them yesterday. His teammate Klaus Graf went out with an oil leak. For Gentilosi, he's got to be thinking, hey, is this car going to hold together now?
Exactly. They pushed it so hard that it has not lasted in earlier races this year, but it looks good so far for Paul Gentilosi. White flag waves on the left-hand side of your screen, but Greg Pickett still has him in his sights.
Gentilosi is out in front by 5 seconds that time by. Pickett is right there, though, in second, as Gentilosi comes up by the lap car, the Monte Carlo of the great Butch Miller, making his first ever Trans Am start here in Toronto today. Joey Scarallo there in the 06, still trying to pressure Tommy Dreese and take third away.
And Joey's had some great lunges down the inside of Dreese, but didn't quite get close enough. This is the brake zone here that he's dared to make the move. Oh, Dreese closes down the line to make sure. Wow, he almost took the nose off Scarello again.
Tommy Dreese has been using the mirror, you might say, to maintain his position here today. Greg Pickett was able to race by him a few laps ago for second, and Pickett is pulled away by 4 seconds now. Final time around here in Toronto, and here is Paul Gentilosi, a couple of turns from home, gunning for his 30th career Trans Am win at an all-time record in his 201st career start. Derek Daly, that is an amazing accomplishment when you beat a record held by Mark Donohue.
Absolutely. Donohue, 3-time champion. Gentilosi, 3-time champion. Gentilosi's never won here, but today is the big one.
Paul Gentilosi takes the checkered flag. Wife Debbie looking on from pit road. His 30th career Trans Am win, an all-time series record in Gentilosi's 201st career start.
And Greg Pickett does come home second. That Dreese and Scarello fight for third for the rostrum position was still settled in favor of Dreese, but Paul Gentilosi, boy, this has been a struggle to finally get this record under his belt. So this is a very, very satisfying day for Paul Gentilosi and for that Rocket Sports Jaguar.
Gentilosi qualified in 5th, got to start on the pole, led early. He let his teammate Klaus Graf move along with him. Graf took over with an inside move. And there's Greg Pickett pulling up alongside Gentilosi, giving Paul the thumbs up. That is a Rocket Sports car with a Rocket Sports motor that Pickett campaigns as well. These two have battled for years in this series, and Pickett knows just how important this accomplishment is to Paul Gentilosi. So Gentilosi, the series champion, grabs up his first victory of 2005 in Trans Am, his 30th career win. His teammate Tommy Dreese right there. They will run in formation as well. Trans Am titles in 98, 99, 01 for Gentilosi. Last year as well in 2004. So as we watch from Dreese's onboard camera, the victory lane ceremony here today ought to be something to watch. Paul has been bidding for this for quite some time. It is quite the accomplishment indeed in Trans Am competition.
Well, there you have it. Paul Gentilosi, a former champion in the Trans Am, is now the all-time wins record holder on 30 wins after his success here on the streets of Toronto in Canada. And we take a quick look at the results. In fact, Gentilosi led a Jaguar sweep at the podium with Greg Pickett coming home second, ahead of Tommy Dreese. In the championship standings, Randy Ruhlman still leads ahead of Joey Scarlett and Klaus Graf. And that'll do it from Motors TV Trans Am Toronto. We'll see you next time.